Welcome everybody to the Project Wars Galaxies podcast. I am here with
Tostito Light Sky.
Tostito, sorry, your name threw me off there. Tostito Light Sky and Vikko the Tusken is our special guest. Yes. You do. Oh, you lost a lot of stamina there.
Waving is apparently a very tiring task.
Wow. That'll do it, I guess. Gravity on this planet is pretty heavy, I hear. Hey, and this is our spooky podcast. Ooh. We're here at the Night Sister Stronghold this time. Having a blast, I guess. Right.
And there's our target right there.
And that was exhausting. Ooh, okay, so we are here with our special guest, Vikko the Tusken. Say hi, Vikko.
Hello. Hey. How's it going?
Swell. But yeah, we decided to have Vikko on board for today, and as you may have noticed, Haddock is not here because he's busy with real life, which is understandable.
Real life will do that to you.
Yes, it will. But yeah, since today we had Vikko on board, I thought we'd ask him a few questions on what he's done in Star Wars Galaxies and a few of his experiences, if need be. So I'll start with, how long have you actually played Star Wars Galaxies, and when did you start?
I started after Published 26 sometime in 2006. I think it was March 2006. I had the game downloaded, but I wasn't able to play for a while. I finally got in, started with the Jedi on Bria. Had no clue what I was doing. Stopped playing for a while because I didn't have any help. Finally got on board with a guild that was able to show me what to do and how to do it. And started making some friends in game. And then I got shown the exploit on Mustafar where you could get the red, I forget the name of the mission, but you get the red crystal, you drive out 4 kilometers, pick it up, come back, and repeat. I ground a 90 in about 3 days. And then just really started having fun after that, doing all the different raids, the Death Watch bunker, etc. And really friends in game. And I played all the way through till about 2009. I had to deploy with the army, came back, and then for the end. After Sony decided to kill the game.
Yeah. I see somebody over here is having a bad day.
Wait, who's having a bad day?
You'll see. Over in my position, you will find out who is having a rough day.
I'm lost. Oh, there we go.
Oh, darn. Well, that's disappointing. She was in the ground for whatever reason on my screen. How dare you make me look bad? But on to the next question. How did you learn of Star Wars Galaxies and what got you into it?
A friend of mine in the Army was talking about this new game, and he described kind of what was going on in Star Wars Galaxies at the time, pre-combat upgrade. And he was telling me about the people he would do stuff with and how it was interactive, and you could pretty much do whatever it is you wanted to do. And I said, wow, that sounds interesting. And it's Star Wars, and it's an online game, and you can do whatever you want. And he's like, yeah, that's what got me interested at first. And then, like I said, I couldn't play the game immediately. So by the time I got in, the NGE had happened and he had left. And that's how I ended up on the Bria server in the first place, because he told me to join up and hang out with him. So, yeah, that I found out from a friend.
Pretty bloody.
You see, I actually found out there were a commercial on TV, which is kind of interesting because I never thought those actually would work.
I personally have never thought those commercials worked, but I guess you claim they did. They worked out.
Yeah.
So I would always see those commercials, and I'm like, "Oh, come on! I like the game and everything, but come on, SOE, those are terrible. Nobody's gonna buy that."
I think the one that I saw was actually the one where it had actual people sitting down and talking about what they liked about the game.
That would sell more than just gameplay to me. Actual unpaid people that are talking about what they like about it.
Unpaid?
Oh yeah,
I'm just too much of a cynic, even when I was a kid and I would see those what would you call those commercials on TVs for movies where they'd ask people walking out of the movie theater, "What'd you think?" I was just like, "Oh, come on." Wasn't that good of a movie.
Yeah, that doesn't sell me.
But then those were movies, and usually they did those for terrible.
Speaking of which, what was the one thing that kept you coming back to Star Wars Galaxies?
Every day, the friendships that I made, and the ability to. There's so much in Star Wars Galaxies to see and do. I've spent with the gameplay that I've been doing. I could be on one planet for a week and never leave.
Really?
Yeah, or if there was an in-game event going on, or if our guild was hosting something big, that's what kept me coming back, was the ability that it was never the same day by day.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there was a lot of immersive content to be done in the game. Speaking of which, what is your favorite moment in Star Wars Galaxies?
Oh boy, favorite moment in Star Wars Galaxies. A favorite moment.
I mean, it doesn't have to be anything like, could just be like how your experience with friends and whatnot, or just heroics. Or
a few of us went on a fishing trip one time to Naboo, and we spent like 3 hours somewhere in the middle of Naboo, and I had a bark speeder, and it still took 15 minutes to get there. And we set up a camp, and that's when you could teleport to the camp. And we had the devs put in NPCs and stuff that would give us Mandalorian wine and other things, and that was a really good time. We had music. Favorite moment, Star Wars Galaxies, it was just like a fishing trip.
That is rather unique.
I caught some good fish.
Oh, you got devs got involved for a fishing trip.
Yeah.
It was something a few of us wanted to do. We wanted to enjoy each other's company because we couldn't, do it in person, and we figured let's stop playing a game and actually do something together that didn't involve that, and it ended up being an awesome fishing trip.
Yeah, I recall actually doing fishing myself when they came out with a collection for the server first stuff, and I actually got it because I spent about I want to say 8 hours in the single spot that I fished at for 8 hours straight and got it. Speaking of, what was your most prized possession in Star Wars Galaxies?
It was my jetpack. Out of all the things, and that's, but having joined the game so late, I soloed the Sherkar bunker on Mustafar and got the skull, the last piece I needed, and had a friend of mine craft it for me, and I felt special because I didn't have to buy it for an exorbitant amount of credits or anything from a vendor.
That was always a special feeling with the Mandalorian equipment, if you will. Like, just being able, when you would do it yourself, it would, it felt
going
like
to
your armor and your jetpack,
Exactly. Going to the Death Watch bunker and getting the armor you want, and then having it colored the way you want, it felt more special than just buying it.
Unfortunately for me,
It felt like you earned it.
But the thing is, it was like a long year process that I had to buy it, because I actually spent my money on other things and just eventually got towards it. But as a result, I just, felt like I had to buy it because I had no other option, because I don't think I had any people to actually help me get through the Death Watch bunker. I did grind for the liquids for a while, but I only got one during my whole time that I tried to get it.
The only thing I ever got, that I ever officially got Mandalorian, was my helmet. That was my official thing. And then everything else, I think I ended up buying the liquid for my other. And I just didn't bother with the rest. That was the look I wanted.
Right. Same with me. I just wanted the Mandalorian helmet. That's all I ever wanted in the game, and that's what I got near the tail end of things.
Yeah, being able to customize just because the game says it should look like this doesn't necessarily mean it has to.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny. I actually had another helmet at one point in time because a friend loaned it to me, but he came back later and asked for it back. So at that point, I had to get my own. Okay, well, what content in Star Wars Galaxies did you like the most?
Honestly, it was the running the city.
Oh, yeah.
Managing the city, and when our guild started to die, me and a friend took over, and part of that vicariously was being the city manager, and it was pretty tough, and it ended up becoming nearly I don't want to call it a full-time job, but it took up a lot of my time playing the game. But I rather enjoyed managing the resources and assets needed to keep that city going and keep the shuttle port going.
Yeah, I never owned a city myself or ran one, but I know it definitely did take a lot of management and organization.
That and I had an alternate character that was a crafter, and I had a store. And I rather like being able to see my work come to fruition by selling stuff to people and putting the NPCs in that would tell you what they sell, and that was fun.
Yeah, that's one thing I liked about Star Wars Galaxies too, just being able to set up your own shop anywhere you wanted and just sell your wares.
I enjoyed that, and if loot that I already had, I would sell that for a reasonable price instead of something ridiculous, and I got a lot of kudos from people about selling stuff for an affordable price. Because, you can destroy the economy if you sell a Jedi Master cloak for $1 million as opposed to 500,000, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Because on Bria, the standard, like for a Jedi Master cloak using that, it was about 1 million credits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the fact that the players basically ran the economy in Star Wars Galaxies. Wherever you did, it was just dictated by what people did in the game.
There's a friend of mine that played Lord of the Rings online, and apparently he started messing around with the economy himself because he figured it was just, exactly the same. But apparently the CSRs didn't like that.
Really?
They have a more controlled economy there. So he got banned apparently from, I forget what he was doing, but he was undercutting the prices on something, and it's just that. It was just the most simple thing you would naturally do in Star Wars Galaxies, and he got banned for that in another game. Why?
That's something I don't understand either. He's just playing the game. That's all he was really doing.
Yeah, I don't really see the problem.
What the crap is a DX?
That's a DX.
Thank you.
My handbar, my energy line isn't recovering.
Really?
Yeah,
strange.
it's stuck on.
Equip and unequip some statted clothing.
Okay.
That'll do it.
Okay. Let me try this one here.
I don't see the bar moving at all.
Okay, that must be different now.
That's weird.
Let me try some. Oh, no, wait, it worked for me.
Maybe it's because his character was made a little bit prior to them fixing possibly that problem.
Oh, that's very likely.
It's a possibility.
Oh, well, I can always make another one.
That is true. All right. Was there anything you wish you had done in the game that you never did?
Some of the places I've explored while playing this version of the game that we're playing, like here, I've never been here.
Get out of the way, really?
I have never been here, and there's a few other places that I had never been to. If I had joined earlier, everybody would talk about the village here on Dathomir, and every time I went to go visit, it was just a big fog enclosure, and I always wondered what it was. And when they brought it in, when they brought it back, I should say, there was a bunch of missions and stuff, and I never got to do them. I was always doing something else.
Those were heroic missions. It's basically like a raid, if you would call it that.
I never got to do them, and I think that led to Hoth or something, didn't it?
It did, actually. That was an encounter you could do in the village.
Yeah, I never got to do that.
Oh. Yeah, those became the basis. I mean, that just everything everyone ever did later on.
Yeah, that and so that they're Arrestus.
Okay, I don't think I've ever heard of anybody not doing heroics before. I mean, unless you were primarily just in pre-CU and combat upgrade era, but then again, after combat upgrade, I kind of sat out NGE for a couple of years, so I had no idea what happened in early NGE.
Early NGE was kind of barren. You had to make up your own content or go into the same raids, but later on, especially after Village came back, there was just a lot that I never got to do.
I'd say the one thing I never really did the most was PvP, and the reasoning behind that was because I didn't want a bounty on my head for the most part. It happened like once or twice, and after that second time, I was like, no way am I doing this.
Well, that and it tended to get toxic with a lot of the teenagers and...
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Some of the people, they get butthurt over getting killed. I mean, you're in PvP. I mean, it makes sense to me. It never bothered me because I just didn't read the chat sometimes, except at my group. So I never got bothered by PvP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did play a little bit of PvP, like when I very first started out, but I didn't do much of it near the tail end of my time playing. I did now and then, off and on, but it wasn't something I regularly did. The thing I do remember, though, is I did go to the Rustis at one point to grind out for comms, just to get the boots for the Imperial side, I believe it was, because I liked the way they looked.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that came from there that I wanted to get. Like we were talking about the Jinsu Razor. I mean, everybody wanted that if they were a Jedi profession. It was the next new cute thing that everybody wanted to have.
Yeah, I remember that too. You know, it's funny because I heard that there was wasn't there like another lightsaber that outdid that at one point in time after a few updates came out?
Afterwards, I don't think so.
I could have sworn there was, but then again, I didn't play Jedi, so I would not know for certain.
Honestly, I enjoyed being an entertainer more so than the Jedi. Being able to set up the holograms and the instruments outside, and then a droid that could also create effects and music. It was fun to just, or especially in the cantina.
Yeah, because that was another part of the community I liked. You actually had to socialize sometimes to get buffs that would help you out later, and that's an interaction with other people that I liked.
Exactly, and it forced people to interact instead of just running solo.
Yeah, it's something you don't usually see nowadays in some games. I mean, you can easily just play a game, just single player sometimes when it comes to certain MMOs, and you don't have to actually interact with anybody. You can just do whatever you want and not have a problem, unless it's higher end content.
Well, I don't know if either of you played Guild Wars, but that one, some of the missions were in groups, but I was able to solo one of the expansions from beginning to end, and that it gets boring when you're not talking to somebody.
Oh, yeah, I understand completely. I remember when they actually introduced guild chat in the game. That was a bit of a interesting time, I'll say that much.
I thought it was a good addition.
Yes, it was, because for the most part we were just typing, and that can be a bit of an inconvenience sometimes. But come to think of it, I never actually used the chat. I just typed. I wasn't one of those type of people to use a mic back then because I was just so darn shy.
Oh, the actual voice chat. No, I never used it. I used the guild, the actual type chat. No, I see what you mean. No, I never did that. We used TeamSpeak back then.
Oh, yeah, or Ventrilo. That was a thing, too. Yeah, I never bothered with Ventrilo. I never downloaded it, nor did I use TeamSpeak. I just typed.
You have to get used to it. Sometimes it's faster to type than to think of the words, and if you haven't done it in a while, you could have your microphone, but you'd just be silent the whole time.
That's true. You can just sit there and listen to other people bark out whatever. You just sit there and listen.
Becoming increasingly aware of my presence here now.
Oh, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't hinting at that.
Okay, well, what is the origin story behind Vikko the Tusken?
When I created my first character, Vikko was I used the random character generator, and that's the name that came up.
That's kind of a cool name to have randomly generated.
Yeah, mostly they're just weird gibberish, isn't it? So I added, I don't remember the last name, I added that, and sure, I had some other characters. This one was my main, and it stuck with me, so every game I've played since, I've used that name. After Galaxies, I was on a hiatus from video games for a long time until I discovered World of Tanks, and that's the name I use.
You see, with my particular name, Tostito Lightsky in particular, it actually stems from this, and I like to tell people this as a little short explanation. My first Star Wars Galaxies character, an inside joke, and slightly a bag of chips. You see, what happened was, when I first started out in Galaxies, I used the name generator, like some people do.
Right.
And I came across this one name which really stuck out. It was called Tostito Lightsky, and I actually liked that, probably because of the Light Sky part, so I chose that name. And this is back when the combat upgrade was still around, and that was like in 2005, I believe. So I started out with that, and when I came back after a month or so when the NGE hit, for some odd reason, I don't know why, I deleted that character and started out with another name. I don't remember the exact name, but later down the line, the complete online expansion came out, and for that reason in particular, I was trying to decide a name. And while I was thinking about it, I remembered my friend who I had told him my old Star Wars Galaxies character name. He, for some reasons, kept saying Tostitos, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. So that's basically the origin story of that particular character's name.
I actually forgot. I did have influence on my name. There was a V in there. The last name was random generated, but I didn't like it. And if you've seen Ghostbusters 2, do you remember Vigo the Carpathian?
I never saw Ghostbusters 2, unfortunately.
What?
I recall that. And then when Viggo Mortensen became a person in the public eye, I always made jokes about that. In Lord of the Rings, there's this there was one part in the movie, but I can't remember where it is, but it was just perfect. And basically, someone asks who Aragon is or whatever to some extent, and he's like, he is Vigo!
Exactly. That had influence on. I forgot about that. Yeah, so that I changed the name around and just made it more with an IK instead of an IG sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always been interested in what people thought of as far as where they got their name from. It's always an interesting thing to hear some people describe on their little experiences and how they came to be, and if they actually continue to use that name in future endeavors.
Yeah, the Galaxies was the first big game I had ever played, and between now and Galaxies, there's a big gap in gaming, but I've always kept that same name, no matter what game it is.
Yeah, that goes for me too. Ever since I used Tostito, I just went Light Sky, and later names just use the two. What was I gonna say something. I forget what it was.
Tostito, lightly toasted. Sorry.
That's funny because no, it's fine because I've actually had people scream at me "Toasty," and back then I was like, "You son of a bitch." But nowadays, I just go with them. Like, oh yeah, sure, why not?
You should call yourself one of these days. Just refer to one of your characters as Cool Ranch Tostito.
That I never thought of doing. Actually, now that I think about it,
yeah, you could make that an alternate crafting character or something.
Well, it's funny because I actually remember one time on the forums, people were actually poking fun at me because the chips and all that. So I basically made it a signature. It's my character riding a Cool Ranch Doritos in space, basically, for the hell of it. It was just a little way of saying, yeah, I get it, but I'm not going to let you get the best of me, so here you go. Have fun.
Or you could take that one meme picture of Dorito Pope, Jeff Cayley thing where he's like doing the Dorito promotion thing. Hey, you just overlay your Mandalorian helmet on that or something. Photoshop
sure.
that.
That's a good idea.
Now, what is this again? Some Pope advertising Doritos? I heard that part. But...
It was Jeff Cayley. He was, I forget what he's like a game journalist guy, quote unquote game journalist or something. He was doing some stupid Dorito promotion back when Halo 4 was coming out, and it was just obvious, like, marketing beat tie-in, like really terribly obvious. And he got so much flack on the internet for that.
I guess rightfully so too.
So that's what. Just Google search Dorito Pope. You'll see what I'm talking about.
I'll definitely have to do that later on. I do remember liking the Mountain Dew Game Feel, the citrus cherry in particular. I love that, but they changed that up a bit, and I don't like the way it tastes now.
Extreme citrus flavor.
Yeah, with raw berry.
Oh, yeah, those other bizarre flavors. I remember stopping... Yeah, I stopped drinking Mountain Dew after... thankfully. After the... What was it? The red crap, Code Red came out. I used to drink Code Red all the time, and then it's like, it got to be too much, and then I'm like, nope, I'm going to die. I drink too much Mountain Dew, so...
Yeah. With the exception of ginger ale, I usually just drink tea or coffee.
That's probably for the best.
That's what it's down to now.
Because we all know soda pop will eventually be the end of us.
Yeah. And even coffee's bad, especially like in the morning when I'm at work. I usually go through, a quart of coffee, and then I have to pee. And then my teeth get furry.
I know this is an urban myth, but I know that people have said it stunts your growth, so that's why I don't drink coffee.
Well, I'm 6'2". I think I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm 6'1".
I'm over 25 now. I think I've stopped growing.
That's why the teenagers are short. They're going to the Starbucks, getting their pumpkin spice, and
I don't even want to think about that because I have a very big prejudice against younger kids in this day and age. Well, at least some of them.
Well, some are good. My niece, she's a freshman in college, and she's thinking about going to the police academy instead.
Oh.
And I'm like, where'd this come from? I mean, I've just found out about an hour before we started sitting here doing this, and it came out of nowhere. we thought she was going to be she has a certificate in hotel management. Yeah, like, what we were talking about earlier. And then I find out today that she wants to change her profession entirely and get into law enforcement. I mean, that's cool. I did that. That's great, but left field.
Do you think he might have been some inspiration for that?
Well, me and her dad, probably, but we always encouraged her to just do whatever she wanted to do.
Oh, okay.
And you should do what we did, or you should try this in school. We just told her, do whatever it is you want to do. Don't let us influence your decision making, and apparently it did.
These Night Sisters are just straight, like eerily okay with us just murdering them.
Yeah.
Like she's not even having an emotion right now. It's just like nothing.
Deer in the headlights. Look. But don't worry, I'm sure that will be implemented sooner or later. We'll be all dead on the floor and just rage quitting probably.
Just wait until they put in AI.
What would really suck if they forgot to put in cloning? It's like, oh yeah, they can fight back, but you can't respawn.
Permadeath? Oh, that'd be great. Or decay of clothing?
Permadeath? No. Bad Vikko. Decay? Maybe.
I'd be okay with slow decay.
That would actually work. Yes.
Well, that encourages you to play in your stuff.
Just to be a little more safer, to be exact. Just precautious when you pick fights with certain people.
I think even Emu, like last time I checked, they slowed down some of the decay of items. Because originally it was much worse, as I recall. Yeah,
you could go through a speeder in a day.
Yeah, I think they reduced that quite a bit. I think just because of community request, I think.
Well, at least they listen.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, at least they're willing to listen to people's complaints and concerns.
Yeah, that's the problem I'm having with World of Tanks. The community nobody listens to the community.
Really?
Yeah, to a degree they do, but it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Good old SOE.
Yeah.
Well, at least they gave us stuff that was interesting and likable.
Oh, I miss it. Back then, I was married to somebody else, and it was a different. Nowadays, if I had invested as much time into Star Wars Galaxies as I would now, I don't think I could do it with the family that I have and my job.
All right, well, on to the next question. What are you looking forward to the most in Project Star Wars Galaxy?
Vehicles. I don't care what.
A vehicle collection?
Yeah, actually. Vehicles, mounts. Space is way off, so that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Yeah, vehicles.
Space is going to be the last thing they're probably going to implement.
Yeah, and it makes complete sense. Your timeline, there's nothing overly ambitious about it.
No.
Yeah, vehicles. I'll just stick with that. There's nothing else I could think of based off of your timeline, because there's things I want, but it's not realistic.
Yeah, I'm sure once vehicles are in, that'll really help people want to traverse and explore certain places they want to go to.
Exactly. Places on. I mean, and I appreciate the frog that you put out. Let me explore some places I'd never been, and
yeah, that's definitely a little bonus for people who just want to go out and see certain places they can't reach just by normal means.
Oh yeah, the other thing, going back to entertainers, is being able to have the complete song list, access to all the instruments, the holograms, the abilities, the flourishes. Because if a bunch of us were to get in game, like when we went to Kashyyyk that one time, I would have been happy to set up shop and just make music.
Wasn't Entertainer actually able to do combat at one point? Was there like a trauma or dramatic tree?
Yeah, they always could. always could towards the end anyway. They had,
once you could customize your profession, I did it on the test center, and it was useless if you wanted to go to anything over a level 30 bunker.
Really?
I mean, it was good for if you wanted to help with like a level 30, you could like grind out a character or something on the legacy quest. But once you got to a certain level, if you didn't have a droid with you, it got pretty rough. And I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, they basically took Teras Kazi Master and just put it, as like the skills on the on a totally separate totally separate expertise page for the entertainer, which makes no sense to me because you can't even level up combat. You have to basically do entertainer XP just to level up.
Yeah, that's true, because there was different type of XPs you could earn. Like, for example, Trader had their own different XP as the entertainer did, while others had just combat XP. I actually remember when I was stuck in between level 80, I believe, I actually did not know that there was XP bonuses you get from the combat terminals, and I never knew that. So basically, I remember grinding on those Pico bird things on.
Oh God,
Gavin.
Wow.
No, I always think it was like the same looking like bird, except it was on Yavin. But I don't think I ever did fight the Picos that often. Yeah, I clearly remember going on Yavin 4 and finding a mission terminal to spawn the lair and just grinding on those for a while.
Yeah, I did the Galaxy quest, or the Legacy. Legacy quest, and I did that till it took me to Corellia, and then it just ended. And that's when I was saying earlier that bug on Mustafar where you could do the repeatable quests, and that's how I made it to 90. I guess that's cheating, or looked down upon with some people. That was a long few days just grinding that over and over again. Mm-hmm. And then when I left Mustafar and went to somewhere else, I'm like, oh, there's this whole other game. I forgot. It was like coming out of a nightclub at 6 a.m. You're like, oh, daytime.
It's too bright.
No, the sun must go away.
Solar eclipse.
Execute Order 67. That's what the Death Star was
his
for.
sole purpose for that one.
Sun.
Yes. Yes, just to eclipse the sun so Palpatine would get sunburn. I mean, it does have its different uses, I guess. Blocking out the sun is just one of them. But, I do remember the grind for my first character being a bit of a pain, but eventually I did get to level 90. I think when I got to level 90, I was on Tatooine. I was grinding out those cave guys or whatever they're called. I can't even remember what they were called. Tasari? No. Do you have any idea? Because it was those people that looked like cavemen on Tatooine.
Dantari, yeah.
Oh, God, they were like the skull cave on Tatooine.
I lived on Dantooine, so.
Yeah, best planet. It's my favorite.
Yeah, I remember Dantooine being my favorite too. I used to stay in the mining facility and just, peruse the bazaar for stuff that I might want. That's where I spent most of my time whenever I was idle. But I do remember staying on Dantooine quite a bit because that was where my secondary guild I joined had their city there. I believe it was called Friends United. Their abbreviation for that was FU.
Anytime I got idle, I would just hop on Valson and just do the Yivits and Mr. Bubble thing, and then I'd get unidle real fast because there was always something to do with those guys.
Yeah, what was their deal? I only remember their podcast existing, and I tried listening to one time, but I was really impatient, so I
that was a staple for me going to work.
About this, but to be fair,
They would always do parties, and they would announce them well in advance and invite as many people to come as possible. And
okay, so they were incredibly active in the game.
Extremely.
Okay.
I mean, Yivitz was he was always out and hunting something and trying to get loot. And Mr. Bubble, when he'd be on, he'd always be in the cantinas doing something. But he was also a really avid pilot, so that's where he got his jollies from, was in space.
I also remember that Mr. Bubble liked ribbons. He mentioned that quite a bit when I was listening to him. Ribbons!
Yes, yeah, he always had to have the different ones, and it was more of a joke. You'd never see him running ribbons around, but
oh,
I mean, he'd never have like doing flourishes with like ribbon attachments or anything.
What did he use?
Nothing really. He just used the same dance every time, and
huh. Yeah, I never actually did entertain her that much, or I don't think I ever did at all, for that matter.
it was really fun for the social aspect and being able to customize your song and your I don't want to call it a set list, but when you had the holograms and you had them with the right arrangements of instruments, it was really cool, and to just see what music they put in the game, and the ability to set up shop at Mos Eisley right in front of where all the new players spawn at, and then the first thing that they see is you with all kinds of stuff set up. And I don't know how many times they'd come to me asking questions right away, and it felt good because I always had the helper tag up.
Same here.
Yeah, it felt good to help newer players and not shun them away like a lot of other players do.
Yeah, I actually was a very dedicated helper, to be exact, because I remember so many times people would ask me for certain things or certain types of assistance. I remember one time when a guy actually asked for a shirt. He's like, "I need a shirt, man." And I'm like, "Okay, got him a shirt." That was that. It's funny how people would actually ask for certain things and just that were so obscure and like, why do you need this? But yet, I did it anyways.
Well, the only time I was really kind of anti is when they were just like, "I need money." Yeah. I'm like, go earn it. Go, come with me and let's earn it together. But don't just pander.
Yeah, because they won't learn anything if they just have it handed to them.
Exactly. There's no lesson to be made. There's no learned.
Oh, so you never know if it was just some panda bear on a computer on the other side or something, asking for money. they could sell it later.
Yeah, that could have been.
Not saying anything specific. He might have been from panda bear from Canada. I mean,
or World of Warcraft, because that's a thing.
Yeah.
Even though I've never played World of Warcraft, I just know that there's pandas in that game.
Never have.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever touch it.
I was about to, but it was like, no. If I'm going to waste my time on a game, it's going to be this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Then later on, it just became irritating that everything got compared to that game.
Yeah, that is annoying. There's similarities, but they're still not similar. I mean, your action bar and everything doesn't cover half the screen.
If Star Wars Galaxies was a single-player game, that would be the Dark Souls of single-player games, wouldn't it?
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
Never played Dark Souls, but I know it's very difficult.
It's a
for
joke.
Some.
It's a joke now that basically everybody is comparing everything to Dark Souls. Like when it's difficult.
It's kind of a game fad, if you would.
Well, if it wasn't for discovering Project Star Wars Galaxies, I'd still be doing tanks. I came across that on accident too, and I love it. Even though the community tends to get really toxic.
Really?
Oh, it's pretty bad. I mean, I play the Blitz version, the mobile version, which isn't as bad, but the PC version is quite toxic.
Yeah, that's one aspect of games I don't particularly care for. It's just those people in particular that just want to make things more difficult to, try and enjoy the game.
Yeah, the keyboard warriors are abundant, especially on the forums, and that's what I really like about the Project SWG forums. Everybody's cool.
Yeah, we got a good community that's not going to go and cause problems most of the time.
No, everybody seems to be like nostalgic.
And plus we're all laid back, at least. Yeah, for now, at least. Yeah.
I mean, it's just because most other people are off on other unnamed emulators.
Yeah.
But yeah, on to the next one I have. What changes to SWG would you like to see in Project Star Wars Galaxies?
Changes.
Like anything you would want changed in the game, what would you like to see happen?
Like changes from the original game, you mean there, Tostito?
Yeah, like something that was never there in the game when it was live that you might want to see when we actually get things going on Project Star Wars Galaxies.
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, I only have Galaxies to go off of, and there wasn't anything I really wanted at the time because there was so much content.
There was I know there were certain things about the game that changed between NGE and CU that people are like, why would you remove that? Why wouldn't you keep something similar to that in NGE, that aspect? And I know, some of the developers are working to bring a few things back that at least will work to a degree. So, hey, just kind of imagine it, I guess.
Food for thought, basically.
Honestly, with regard to houses, there was only the set level of templates and a set level of types of houses you could do on certain planets. And I didn't understand how hard it would have been to put in the code to change the walls and design the interior of your house. If you can take fish that you've caught and decorations and raise them and turn them and twist them, I'm sure you should be able to move walls around, actual walls, and not make like the entire floor plan.
Like the carpet and the wallpaper?
Yeah. Like on a Naboo large house, there was two or three different versions, and I had one on Dantooine, but to come inside you had to go right and up or left and down, and I just don't understand why there wasn't you could just create a door that goes up to the central part of the house right down the middle.
Oh, okay, so you mean different from the original layout? Between the two of them?
Yeah, design your own floor plan or completely new floor plans.
No, that wouldn't. Nowadays, I think the reason they did that though is they had fixed layouts for the houses for a reason. Because if you recall, like when you would enter a certain room, the everything outside that room would disappear. Like the world would disappear. Right. If it wasn't in view, it would disappear. So the other rooms in the house would have to disappear as well.
Yeah, and that probably had something to do with rendering.
Yeah, it did, and that was mostly because computers couldn't handle it at the time. But nowadays they could. So I guess it wouldn't be such a big deal to have just like one full gigantic roomed house and just have sort of a modular thing that it would just switch in and out of. I don't know. That's just me guessing. Based on what the game is capable of. Or the engine is capable of. It really would. At this moment, it's kind of the limitation of this client and whatever they can program on the server. But they have to keep this client in mind when they're programming the server.
Yeah, don't want to go out of bounds as far as what's legal and what's not.
Well, it's like what can this client do and what it can't do. There's a lot that it can do that wasn't in the original game, but it's still limited to a degree.
Yeah, I've always wondered what we could possibly do as far as housing goes, but I can't speak for the dev team myself because that's not my field of expertise.
Yeah, mine neither. I'm not that tech savvy. Right. As far as like recording YouTube and all that stuff, I mean, I learned by making a lot of mistakes. But as far as programming is concerned, completely inept.
Well, coding is, yeah, that's a different story. I mean, I wish I could help out, but unfortunately, like you, I'm not very tech savvy either, and I don't think I'd be able to figure out what C++ involves, and among
Yeah.
other things, I'm not that.
I'd really have to get back into it. I did some programming back in high school, but I have not really touched coding for quite a while. So it would take some, I'd have to relearn, basically.
I've ever coded anything. I coded Oregon Trail onto an Apple IIe.
Ooh, Oregon
Wow.
Trail.
Yeah, I did that.
Was that even basic language back
Yeah.
then? Oh, jeez.
No, it was a 10-line.
Okay, that's what they were using. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did any programming in school. At least I don't believe I did. I don't think I ever did any programming.
They had a C++ class in high school back then that I took, and I didn't do a very good job. Like, I learned some stuff, but I was terrible with homework in high school, so it was just...
Well, that is not uncommon. I can say that much.
Somehow I still managed to go to college.
I thought college was easier than high school.
Yeah, it was.
You see, I always was told that college is a whole different ballgame from high school. I was told it was like very difficult.
No,
Depending.
it was easy. I mean, it's punishment if you're a history major, but it was still easy.
Yeah, the thing with me though is that I don't know what I want to do in college as of now. So as a result of that, I haven't touched college at all until I figured out what I want to do.
Yeah,
It
it's
may take a
probably
while, but you know.
Well, there are degrees in general studies. You can always, usually I forget the name of the position. Every college calls it something different. There's usually a counselor that can help guide you through the process.
Career guidance counselor?
Yeah.
Mm.
And help you decide what it is you want to do.
So anyway, while we're slaughtering Night Sisters here, Star Wars Galaxies. Sorry about that. That just we're in the middle of something. I started really getting interested in what you were saying, actually, but it's just like, oh, wait a minute, we're doing something, are we?
But yeah, murder, death,
Where
kill.
we're at. What am I doing? Why do I exist? Apparently, I just killed Night Sisters. Apparently,
They don't seem to mind. Banishment. What the hell does... A? Is that an A? Forget which one.
oh yeah, that I don't even know.
You know what? I'll look at the video later and I'll try to figure it out time. A isn't a K, it's like an A or something. Backwards K.
Huh?
Man, that's gonna be weird.
I know the little one in the middle is evil. You know, at the very bottom, that spells evil, I believe.
EV.
I never learned this language.
I know some people did, but that was through dedication.
I seriously couldn't tell you what's what. And I only know it from using the font occasionally.
I used to know Mandalorian pretty well, but
Yes, Mandalorian. I honestly like that culture, but the one thing I don't like is the fact that if you're called to arms, it's pretty much like a given. You got to go.
yeah,
Mandalorian's calling, but you know that's how it goes in real life sometimes.
I love it. That's if to a Star Wars Galaxies world that is heavily populated and do role playing, it would be a Mandalorian for sure. The culture, the just their way of life. I love it.
Yeah, I definitely do like that aspect of Mandalorian culture. But one thing I did notice, though, in Star Wars Galaxies, besides the Death Watch, there's not much of it Mandalorian-related stuff in here as, like, NPCs go.
Thank you. I mean, really, they're very similar in some ways.
I actually remember one time when I tried this heroic moment. Oh, not heroic moment, but heroic instance. I actually remember we failed it, but the funny thing was I think what happened was we were fighting the last boss, and apparently we were all dying at once and just could not finish it. Well, for some odd reason, the final boss did not kill me, and we were like on a timer here. So I'm like, you know what? Hell with it. I'm just going to walk off and say, I live. And that was that. It's like, I'm not finishing this, but I'm going to walk off and act like nothing happened. Because usually that NPC actually death blows you if you get knocked out.
Yeah, there's a few instance places like that. I always assumed if you could solo it, it wasn't hard enough.
Right. You hear that? Needs more difficulty. Crank up that shit.
Needs more Dark Souls.
Just like on Kashyyyk when you went to go get the what is the name of that, the Bane's heart crystal.
Oh, the Necros.
Yeah, and you had to fight the General Grievous clone.
That was actually, I think the story behind that was it's his remains, but integrated into a droid, and basically the doctor that's in the cave, like, you know what, go fight this thing as an experiment.
Yeah. They had to add some sort of storyline to it.
Yeah, to make it make sense.
Sometimes whenever somebody would talk about, where'd you get that purple blade at? And I'd be like, all right, come with me. And I'd bring him to Kashyyyk and I'd solo it for him.
Oh, wow. Wait, the Bane's heart was purple? Because it
was like not a violet, it was a reddish violet color.
Okay, I never saw it myself.
It wasn't red, wasn't blue, wasn't purple like your stock purple blade. It had its own unique hue, kind of like the Sunrider's Destiny Crystal, its own hue. Mm-hmm. And I never hardly saw any of them around. So I would bring people, tell them to sit by the door, shut up. I'd solo the whole thing. It's just like going to the Warren when like a level 40 or wanted the robe, the Acolyte robes. I'd go to the Warren, tell them to sit in the stairwell, shut up. And then I'd go kill the cows until I got what I needed.
You know, it only just occurred to me now. How the hell did a tree grow in a cave in the first place?
Magic.
Oh, okay.
Well, then again, how they haul it down here is a better question. If we're going by that logic, I mean...
Magic explains everything, though.
In Star Wars, you don't have an explanation. It's just Star Wars.
The Force.
There is no logic.
The Force did it.
Yes. We'll use the Force as an excuse for everything logic-wise in Star Wars, because that's the only explanation you need.
All plot holes are filled over with the Force spackle.
Now, I don't know when we started, but I think it's been well over an hour now.
Yeah, it's been about an hour since we started, anyway.
Well, I hope I was able to answer your questions.
Did we have any further questions?
There is one more. Now, prepare yourself for this. I want to hear your best Tusken impersonation.
I've never done one.
Ooh, first.
I don't know how. I don't have those vocal cords.
You just kind of inhale air into your lungs while restricting your vocal cords, like.
That's actually pretty close.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it's reverse coughing, I think, is what it is. If you wanted to give it a shot, but no, it's all right if you don't have to.
Yeah, if you can't do it, at least we got Dak to do it.
Yeah, well, now I'm embarrassed, and everybody knows it.
I'm sorry. Sorry,
No. That was me.
We could not hear a song of your people, but that's okay.
The Project Star Wars Galaxies podcast. We try not to resort to hazing rituals, but hey, if we have to. Maybe that's
Well, the only reason I chose the Tusken Raider thing, when you could go to Fort Tusken and actually raid the robes as part of a title quest, I started doing it, and I would wear them, and then I forget there was a macro that I programmed to make my head twitch, and
I think it's just /Twitch, isn't it?
No, it's, I think I still have it programmed. It's /LOL, except you just, no, it's not that. There's no vocal that comes up, no spatial chat, and my head would twitch, and I would dress like this, and people were like, "What, are you crazy or something?" And that's when I would change it to flailing my arms at them and everything, and they thought I was crazy, and that's how the Tusken Raider thing came to be. So it's not like I'm a big fan of Tusken Raiders. Yeah. But the name stuck, and the Tusken Raider thing I thought was cool, so here I sit.
Days you find yourself in a Tusken restaurant ordering Tusken chicken.
I don't know if I do that. It'd probably be sandy, and nobody likes sand. It's coarse and it's rough. And it gets everywhere.
Tusken spices are a lie, though. They're not what you think. Don't try the bantha wings.
It's people, like Soylent Green.
And I slaughtered them, and the women, and
like
the children. I slaughtered them like animals.
Made from people. You have to tell them.
Spread the word.
I think I've ever actually seen that movie, but I have seen all the references.
I watched it once a long time ago.
I've never seen it. There's a lot of movies I haven't seen. I'm not that big of a moviegoer.
Well, you're missing out.
I used to watch movies when I was younger, but then I guess the interest just went somewhere. I don't know where.
Missing out on some quality entertainment.
I do sometimes go to the movies, but that's because people drag me to it. It's like, no. Yes.
They strap you down. You're just like Malcolm McDowell and Clockwork Orange. They just strap you to a chair and pry your eyes open. Watch this. No, make it stop.
Yes, son of a bitch.
That's one standalone movie that they should do for Star Wars is the Clone Troopers. Not the Clone Troopers, the Republic Commandos. They should have done a movie about them.
Yeah, they should have, because that was a very interesting concept. Clone commandos that actually have Mandalorian culture integrated into them.
And personality, and they weren't just rank and file peons.
Yeah, I never finished the third book yet. I'm still working on that. And,
you're missing out. Even my wife, who doesn't follow Star Wars much, she even read those. Wow.
I'm still working on it. I mean, I'm on the third book already. I don't know how far in, but I'm going to finish it eventually. It's one of my to-do list objectives.
You'll be entertained. I'll put it that way. They're really good.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed.
Heck, there's a lot of books I haven't read yet on my shelf. I think there's like 7 books I still need to finish. I know there's Order 66 Clone Commandos, and there's 501st.
That'd be the last one.
Yeah. I also got that Battlefront, the first Battlefront book that I'm still reading. Don't know if I'm going to pick up Inferno Squad or not, but I might.
I do like how they incorporated some of the books into the game over time. And didn't they do a book based on the game at some point?
They did. It was called Ruins of Dantooine, I believe. Yeah. That's where Star Wars Galaxies was.
Oh, yeah. I saw that at one point.
I read the whole thing. It was interesting. They had like Vader, C-3PO, and 2 original characters that you never see again. I know that's pretty bad, but still, I know that one of the characters' name is Finn, but it's not the Finn we know from the movies.
And way before that.
Yeah.
Well, of course, why is there Jedi in Star Wars Galaxies when they're all supposed to be dead and everybody wants to be a Jedi or a bounty hunter?
That was my one main gripe about the professions that were available after the NGE.
Yep.
Jedi everywhere.
And I don't blame it. I mean, most of the older crowd wanted to do something else, and all the kids wanted to be Jedi.
I know. I used to watch videos of kids picking their profession, like, I'll go Jedi. Dang it.
Yeah.
And they should have just kept it as like, well, I mean, not like an alpha profession, but I mean, they should have just had like an unlockable profession, regardless. Like, you know, it shouldn't have just been a starting thing. You unlock it, there it is, and not necessarily any much more powerful than all the other professions. As far as like, you know, when they switched everything over to.
Yeah. Unless you got more questions, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that I had to cover as far as my questions for you goes, Vikko.
Well, I really appreciate you having me as a guest for what it's worth. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You coming on and, you know, BSing with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you dating me and being so kind on the forums and putting those frogs in Mos Eisley just for yokels like me that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, we definitely had you in mind for the first guest as far as the podcast goes. You were a guest way before we even had you ask, so, you know.
Well, I appreciate it. As soon as I see that the podcast is up, I'll do a shout out on my channel.
Yeah, we'll possibly have, I don't know who posts the video, but we'll try and see if we can get your channel on there as well, in the list of comments or whatever, or the details.
Absolutely. Once I see it up, I'll take a couple screens from this, put it on there, put a link to yours, and make sure as many people, because I have a lot of Galaxies followers, I'll make sure that they go to your channel or whoever posts it up. Yep.
Yeah, definitely spread the word.
I'd be happy to. This is where people need to be going. I do like that it's growing. It's built from the ground up. It's fresh and it's a good community.
Agreed.
Yeah,
that just gives it more of a future. Actually, I feel more ability to expand on. And I've just been preaching this forever, but.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. And thank you, the viewer and listener, for watching and listening.
Yes, thank you for tolerating us for this hour and how many minutes it's been.
We gave him something a little visually interesting, right? I mean, we ran around.
We did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, instead of standing in Mos Eisley, yeah.
Oh, yep. Yeah, he has watched the other ones. Okay.
No, I've seen the first, not the second.
Okay.
But I promise it gets easier, it gets better. I've done a few myself.
Why?
So
watch the second one. No, I'm kidding.
Uh-oh. So I'll be soon, and I'll try to get back on the forums a little more regularly.
Yeah.
It seems the forums are a little more active these recently.
Good,
anyway.
Good.
So
good. I'm happy to hear that.
Cool to hear from more people too.
Yeah, I try to light a fire every so often just to get people to chat and just talk in general.
People walk into the kitchen. Oh, there's a fire.
Let's talk about it. Instead of reacting and actually putting it out. No.
I'll keep in touch, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right. I'm out.